Dr. Ramjee Repaka is also an associate editor for ASME Journal of Engineering and Science in Medical Diagnostics and Engineering and Science in Medical Diagnostics and Therapy. The editorial board member of Electromagnetic Biology and Medicine and guest associate editor, Diagnostics and Therapeutic Devices. Frontiers in medical technology. His research area include heat transfer, applied thermal engineering, bioheat transfer, cancer diagnosis and therapy, RFA and MWA, biofluid mechanics, refrigeration and air conditioning, and thermal management of electrical vehicles. Sir, the allotted time for the talk is 40 minutes, followed by questions by the audience for the next 20 minutes. I hope everybody has switched off their mobiles for a disturbance-free session. Thank you.
Thank you, Divijiti, for the nice introduction. So, hope you had a nice trip yesterday evening, and welcome you all back to this summer school. And first of all, I thank the organizers for conducting such type of wonderful, thought-provoking workshops every year. So I'm going to just, we are going to speak on mysteries of memory. So of course, I'm very naive to this field, but I'm not going to touch any of the technical contents of this, but rather, so non-technical contents we will just go through. And it seems, it may stimulate thought-provoking in each individual's mind. Dedications to His Divine Grace, S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of Bhaktivedanta Institute. Dedication to Dr. T.D. Singh, His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami Maharaj, founder director of Bhaktivedanta Institute, Kolkata. So this is the disclaimer I generally use in my presentations, though I have given proper citations to all the images, but they are the owners of their respective images. So this is how my content flows. So we will just touch upon, not getting into the details of this, what are the basic concepts of memory and location. Yesterday in a couple of presentations, it was nicely delineated. So what are the different parts of the brain? So we are not going into the details of this, but just we will touch upon. Knowledge acquisition, which is happening on in the scientific progress, and then case studies on memory and mysteries of memory, as well as things to ponder upon at the end, but not the least. Well, memory is the ability to store and retrieve information as and when it is required. That is what is the general definition, even if you search over the internet. And you have different types of memories. Again, I'm saying not going into the details. So we have this explicit memory and implicit memory, which is from the long-term memory. So these are basic required things to make us understand a few contents of the slides of this particular presentation. And you have sensory memory, iconic by seeing, and you have echoic by hearing, auditory senses, and then hepatic by touching. And in this short-term one, working memory, which is less than 1 minute, and then long-term memory, which is lifetime. Yesterday, Maharaj was saying that we should do only good things repeatedly so that we will have a long-term memory. And you have among this explicit memory and implicit memory. Explicit, the name itself suggests that you have conscious being, we can understand. And then implicit memory, though we are conscious, but we do certain things which are in subconscious or unconscious in life. Like I'm just seeing at other person, but riding or driving my vehicle or bike. And you have the explicit, again, is further divided into episodic and then semantic. And the implicit one is procedural. So procedural means I know how to ride, I know how to drive, and so on. And this episodic and semantic. So episodic means basically related to any episodes, events, okay, experiences. So many examples were given yesterday's class in the yesterday's lecture. And semantic means facts, concepts. So how I can use my brain with some logic that is intact. So further, so where these different aspects are which are being stored in the brain part as per the modern science. So I have given this relevant reference. So this hippocampus, amygdala, and you have cerebellum, basal ganglia, neocortex, and then prefrontal cortex and entorhinal cortex. So these are the main parts which where all these things are covered almost. So one is hippocampus, declarative memory. So which is coming from your explicit memory, from the long-term memory, and then you have this episodic memories being stored here. Next is episodic memory, but related to emotions, fear, anger, all those things. And you have the procedural memory, which is basal ganglia and then cerebellum, and which is coming from this implicit memory. You have like the skills and then tasks. So you need not to memorize certain things, but you can do going to your office, driving your car, again, as I said, riding your bike and so on. And you have the sensory perception, generation of motor commands, and the spatial reasoning and language in this neocortex. And then you have the prefrontal cortex, which is complete complex cognitive functions, calculations and other thought processing going on. And you have finally entorhinal cortex. You have this episodic and semantic memory. Both of these things are getting stored. Well, so in the science, we try to capture, we try to acquire, we try to understand by sense perception. That is what we say, the direct sense perception. So we see, we hear, and then we touch, and then we smell by using all our working senses, right? So that is what we say, the direct perception. And another process of learning or acquiring the knowledge is by inference. So many of the scientific, few of the scientific, outcomes which are based on this so-called on inference, anumana. So what do you mean by direct perception? So if you see the examples, again, I'm not going into the detail because the whole essence is in the later part of the presentation. You see, I have 5 members or 6 members. You can see in this image, each person has been placed in front of the different parts, different organs of this, or different parts of the body of the elephant. So based on their perception by touch, one of the sense acquiring, knowledge acquiring senses may be this touch. So haptic one. So he says it is like a spear, another person says like a snake, and then trunk. Another person, the legs is considering as a tree, and so on. It's a rope, and then it's a wall, and then it's a fan. So though there are 5, 6 members or 7 members, so each one is perceiving the things differently. By touching, they feel that they were not told that this is an elephant. Later they were told, oh, elephant looks like this. Or elephant is like this, like a big wall, like a big tree, like a big trunk, like big tail. So that is what they're understanding. And later you have another nice example when you go to the desert. So you see that there is a water body far from, but as you approach towards that, you will find there is nothing. So these are, though we do practice, scientific progress is happening on with this direct perception, but because of our senses, I'm not demeaning any of these scientific outcomes being from the neuroscientists or neurosurgeons or neuropsychologists, no demeaning. Just what we would like to say, that because of these limitations of our sense perception, we may not be able to withdraw the conclusion as desired. So like this, each person is concluding differently about the elephant. And another one is the deductive findings are the inference, we say anumana. And this is another way of acquiring the knowledge. And we all know in your basic, elementary or primary school, so at least higher secondary school classes, we have seen this cloud chamber experiment. Well, so a ray of alpha ions are being passed through, and then there is a cloud chamber, and then wherever the water droplets are condensing on this, then you see there is tracking of all these particles. So this is how we can say they are negatively charged particles and so on. So this we infer, we have never seen that. We can't even see. I mean, when the experiment was done, there were not that much of technological advancements where you have right now also you can't see the atomic level things. So another one is you have an impression of a footprint of an animal or man. So we know the man's footprint doesn't look like, because we have an a priori knowledge, but we don't know whether this is really of an animal, which may be a tiger or which may be any other thing else, which have similar type of paths. So we guess, we infer, oh, there may be a line, which may be correct, which may not be. So what we would like to say is that based on this inference and then direct perception, what we acquire the knowledge may be incomplete, maybe possessing certain limitations. We're not saying that they are wrong, but there may be certain limitations in understanding the way it is not, or the way it should be. So this is how the science is progressing. In the same way, you have the memory studies are also done with time. Because why we said like this, when we understand few case studies, then it is very clear. Because earlier people were saying the neuroscientists, neuro physicists, psychologists, and the neurosurgeons, they used to say, okay, memory is in certain part of the brain only. But later, with the advent of this study, it became a gold standard. One of the studies which we are going to discuss, it is a gold standard in almost all of the neuropsychological studies. So here are a few case studies. So we try to touch upon what are the different parts of the memory, and we try to understand what are the different ways of acquiring knowledge, which have certain limitations. And if we go further, Henry Molaison, HM, short form. If you just type HM in the internet, you will find number of articles on this. So this person, the research was done for almost more than 50 years. So when he was 7 or 9, there is a contradiction whether it was 7 or 9 years old. So he was hit with by a cycle, and then he fell down, got damaged to his brain part. And so after 9 years, after 16 years, so he was having epileptic seizures. So he could not even bear that was increasing with time, the seizures. Sometimes the body becomes dysfunctional, and vibration. Sometimes they say you take metal item. So that is what, just to make you understand what you mean by epileptic seizures. So he is a person, after 16 years, after 27 years, it was becoming unbearable for him to withstand those epileptic seizures. Then one of the neurosurgeons he has met, so they have suggested for a surgery, and he underwent the bilateral medial temporal lobe resection. So just I will make you understand what you mean by this in the next slide. So this is the brain you are seeing from the bottom. This is the brain you are seeing from the bottom. You have two parts, you bisect, and in between these two parts, there are certain lobes. So what we say basically hippocampus, and then amygdala, and so on. So one such part, the hippocampus is what this one, it has been removed. Because that is the main reason for whatever the sensing, firing neurons and so on, and then he's getting epileptic seizure. And so that has been removed in 1953 when he was at 27 years old. Well, so his studies suggest that, now I'm making it little cut short, that he was freed from these epileptic seizures almost to the nil, but different problem cropped up. Well, so that was, he has essential, whatever the hippocampus, which is essential for explicit or conscious declarative memory, but not implicit procedural memory. So till then, before the surgery, it was decided that only hippocampus is very important for this explicit declarative memory. What do you mean by explicit declarative memory? So explicit, declarative, and then you have two, episodic and then semantic. So it says that to have that storage in our brain, it was the only cause. It was the only region where the things are getting stored. That was the conception before the surgery. But after that, it has changed the whole scenario of understanding of this neuropsychology. But in spite of that, removal of this particular hippocampus, which is what we say the bilateral medial temporal lobe, a part of that. So he was able to remember famous people who had only become famous after his surgery. That means after 1953. So like the Lee Harvey Oswald, who has assassinated John F. Kennedy in 1963. So after 1953, almost for 50 years, he became a subject for all these studies on neuropsychologists as well as neurosurgeons. So one explanation which was given by them that how he could store, because it was attached to an emotional component. So that is what we have, this episodic memory. And he liked, example, like he liked these people, maybe he was liking John F. Kennedy, or the assassination was so violent that he could not digest, and then it is remembering in his mind. So this is the case one. So this is what basically, if you see like this is the brain, make two slits, and then the bottom part. This was the HM's brain. He is no more. He has died in 2008 after 82 years of his survival. And these two parts have been removed. And if I cut like this, then you see the two parts. These are this one, but now for his brain, this has become like sort of no material there, no matter is there. Other observations from his study. So his memories from events prior to 1950 were fine. So the surgery was done in the year 1953. So within the 3 years, before the 3 years, that means before 1950, whatever the memory is 24 years, whatever the memory is there, it is intact. He has not lost. Everything he remembers, which should have been otherwise wrong by the earlier concept of saying that hippocampus is the main storage unit. There was also no observable difference to his personality. Like he was very kind, he was very gentle, and his intelligence has, the IQ has got enhanced. I hope you could follow why we are saying and what we are saying. And his intelligence was enhanced to the extent that before the surgery, IQ was 104. Post surgery, it became 112. And his ability in arithmetic had apparently improved also after surgery. And what they have concluded, that memory was affected by it was whatever the memory which he has lost from the since of 3 years of before the surgery, since then he is not having that much memory. But before that, it means the 24 years he is having the whole memory. So it was thought that the memory was affected because of the removal of hippocampus. In a follow-up study, which is general case, that when a patient undergoes the surgery, definitely after a few days, he has to go back to the surgeon or the physician, then go for follow-up study. So his procedural memory was tested by this Brenda Milner. She became very famous in this. She is a neuropsychologist. She became very famous after this case. When this happened, she was a PhD student in US, and the person who has made a surgery to this HM case, he has called when they met in a conference, and then from there, her life got completely changed, and she has made and brought up new the logics and then understanding of, even critical understanding of the different parts of the brain as far as modern science is concerned. So he was supposed to do certain job, so that whether his capabilities, the memory capabilities are intact or not, or something is missing, like you have seen episodic memory or semantic memory or the procedural memory, is any of these things is getting affected or not, they want to just test. So he was supposed to trace an outline of a star, but he could only see the mirrored reflection. And he has repeated day 1, day 2, day 3, and then he was repeating, and then his pace was increasing day by day. Well, and so this is further evidence for localization of function. Now they say that they were saying that the hippocampus must play a role in declarative or the explicit memory, but not the procedural or implicit memory. So earlier they were thinking everything is from there, but now they could understand, because of this experience from this study, something is there, but something is not there. That is because Only one part is missing, but other parts of the brain may be having memory with relevant storage of information. So these findings were initially met with some resistance. How this is possible? Because people were thinking that this should be the case, that everything is stored in one part, something like, but it is not, it is localized. And so William Scoveley, he's a neurosurgeon, did the same surgery in monkeys to validate whether what our human studies are really up to the mark, to validate with another model, that is animal model. So in that case, these monkeys with medial temporal lesions. So whatever the lesion means, which need to be resected, which need to be cut, so damaged, we can say. So same region has been removed from the monkey's brain also. But whatever the monkeys, seem to be able to learn tasks that HM could not learn. So whatever the HM was not able to do, so they were thinking the animal would not be doing the same thing. That means it would behave the way the HM was behaving. But unfortunately, or shockingly, they got to know that the removal of the same part is not leading to the same activity by the animal. So there is a parity. There is a difference between the same part which is functioning in humans is one way, and the same part is behaving differently in the animals, especially the monkeys. So hence it was inferred, that is why I have brought this concept of knowledge acquiring. So they were inferred that the functionality of hippocampus in monkeys are different than the humans. So where HM's case, anterograde amnesia was evident. Anterograde means since post-surgery, whatever the things happening in his life, he could not remember. He could not memorize. So if it is, even he could not memorize the previous surgery events also, then we say retrograde amnesia. So he is a case of anterograde amnesia, and animals have different functionalities for the same part, that is for the hippocampus. So related memories are there in another part rather than in the hippocampus. For humans, memory is there in particular memory is there in hippocampus, but that is the same memory is not for monkeys in the hippocampus. They have the different location. So other case studies, you have the similar case. You have SM, the short form, the way HM, SM, so that they don't want to reveal the actual identity. So she was 30 years old in 1994, and then this is one of the famous case studies in all of your neuroscience studies. So this is the reference. So she became fearless to at least external stimuli after the destruction of her amygdala. So amygdala got damaged. So which we have, if you remember, in the first one of the first slides I have shown, below the hippocampus there is amygdala here. Well, different tests were conducted, whether she was really telling that she was not having fear, or she was trying to hide from her husband. So this was the case which they were thinking. So different tests are conducted to test fearlessness. So one such is trying to hold the snake very close to her face. Otherwise, we all will get scared, right? We start jumping. But she didn't respond in that way. She was nicely holding the snake and then just gazing at that. And another one was just they wanted to change that, and then they have taken her to a most fearful place in US, most haunted house. But still, she was leading everyone. Oh, come on! I will take you to the each and nook and corner of the building. So she was not at all fearful, but others were. Though the team members who were with her, they were very scared. So, however, it was really interesting to know that SM is not emotionless. There are different things. One is fear, emotions. So amygdala stores both, but after the damage of amygdala, still she's having emotions, but not the fear. So otherwise, earlier people were thinking that everything is in the brain of a localized one. At one place only things are getting stored, but it is not correct. So she experienced a lot of curiosity and excitement. They are there intact, which are thought to be governed by other regions of the brain predominantly. So now they were thinking that maybe the other parts of the brain dysfunction is leading to. So conclusions, despite her lack of fear, SM is able to exhibit other basic emotions and experience the respective feelings. Okay. And the findings support that the human amygdala plays a vital role in triggering a state of fear, and that the absence of such a state produces the experience of fear itself. So that they're saying the amygdala is not there, so now she's not subjected to any fear aspects, but emotions are there. Well, and other case study, the third one, Clive Weddings. So it is one more, another critical case where the hippocampus and mediotemporal lobes both were removed. So the first case, lateral medial temporal lobes. Now here, hippocampus plus lateral medial temporal, medial temporal lobes. So it was ravaged in a disease, some infection in 1985. Both the two parts got damaged. Suffered from both amnesia, retrograde and anterograde. So means before that disease, whatever the thing which was in his memory, he forgot. And after this disease, after the treatment, the so-called treatment, so he could not remember anything. Almost nil memory. So both these things are there. He has lost all these past memories. So this is one of the most extreme case of memory loss ever recorded. So if you again go back, one is very short, and then you have long term. So the first one, he could not even remember for more than a second, few things. So in psychology, the phenomena often referred to as 30-second Clive. So on his name, this this activity become very famous. That if some person is coming with less than 30 seconds memory, they will say, oh, this is 30-second Clive. The way we see a Newton number and all those things. Like the particular incident has been named on this. So he completely lacks the episodic. Episodic means the facts and then events, or autobiographical memory, what has happened in his life. The memory of his personal experience has been wiped out. But although he can't remember them, the Clive doesn't know that certain events does know that certain events have occurred in his life. But he is having a very mild memory that something has happened in the past. Like he was having marriage. He had marriage with kids and so on. So he knows that he used to be a musician. He was a great musician basically. So while he was playing, after certain years, as it is mentioned in 1985, he got infected with the disease. So yet he has no recollection of any of his career. Nothing is in his memory. And Clive also knows that he has a wife, not only one, two wives. So in fact, his second wife is the only person he recognizes. He forgot about his first wife. In spite of his complex amnesia, Clive still has some types of memories that remain intact, like including semantic and then procedural memory. So semantic as well as procedural. So logic he could apply. He could drive. At the time he was able to drive the car and so on. So conclusions, Clive Wearing's example show that memory is not as simple as we might think. So one after the case, and the case, and the case, the complexity becomes enhanced rather than it is trying to solve the solution problems. Although the physical location of the brain remains largely unknown, scientists believe that different types of memories are stored in neural networks in various parts of the brain. So still they have that same idea. Other case study. This is the fourth one which I'm going to discuss. So this is a 3-year child patient, UD named. So is the entire occipital lobe, the backside of the brain, which includes the brain's visual processing center. So whatever eyes pass on the retina and then it goes back to this, and most of its temporal lobe in between this part, which receives both visual and auditory cues. Auditory cues are here, visual cues are here, were removed, leaving only 2 of the 4 lobes in his right hemisphere untouched. So there are 4. So out of the 2 are there in the right part have been removed, but 2 are untouched. Left part is intact. The impact of lobectomy means they have removed a part of this particular brain part, right? Was studied using fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging. So testing at least at 5 different points over 3 years. They have tested at 5 different points over 3 years to evaluate how we performed certain visual as well as behavioral tasks. So each different cases have different things. Okay, I'm coming to that conclusion. The researchers were surprised that the intact regions of UD's left hemisphere came to do the work of both hemispheres. Because whatever the things which are supposed to be visualized, some part of the thing has been removed two eyes, you have two systems. So right, some part is removed, but now left is coming in and then working the job of the right as well. So specifically, they found that UD's brain reorganized to compensate for higher order functions like analyzing complex visual cues and needed to recognize faces and words normally. So higher order things could able to perform, and he could see only with the one eye. However, it did not regain the ability to do lower order cues, like lower order functions like receiving and transmitting visual aspects from 180 degrees. So he could only see one part. He could not see the other part. He has to turn his face and then see the other part. So that was the problem. The only deficit is that he cannot see the entire visual field. The way we are seeing both eyes, I can see this part, this much angle, but he could not see the entire visual field. When he is looking forward, visual information falling on the left side of the input is not processed. So he could see with this, but he could still compensate for this by turning his head or moving his eyes like this. Okay, operation has been done in the right part. So left eye is not working, but right eye is taking job of that, because that is left lobe is taking care of the right eye. Moreover, by tracking the changes in the brain as UD developed, we were able to show which parts of the brain remained stable and which were reorganized over time. So this offers insight into how the brain can remap visual function in the cortex. So one part is not there, but still he could capture and he could do certain functions, lower order functions, not the higher order functions. Well, so we have seen in the last few lectures of the last couple of days, so there are many research advancements which have been discussed, described, and then presented by the different researchers in the world. So notwithstanding that, many of the things were inferred. I hope now you understand what you mean by inferring. Oh, this part is not there, so this function is not taking place, or this part is there, that is where this function is taking place. So they were inferred, and after this HM study has come into limelight, so many were going to, were studying like this. So here, as I said, he has died in 2005. So till then, for 50 years, he was, he was so cooperative, so gentle, and he was having even his humorous things got enhanced post surgery. So he was cooperating, and then many researchers published many articles, and then they came to know that it is not no more localized. So it is spreading throughout the brain. Well, and we require further evidences. Further evidences are warranted to understand not only for inference, but actually what is the fact. Well, so to aid in this understanding of this need of new evidences, so fMRI has come into picture, and then they try to understand, okay, functional means simple MRI, it takes the whole image, but when we say the functional MRI, so it takes care of which part is active, that only is being captured. So that is what functional. So that because of the advent of that, they could even further in the scientific pursuits, and then they could even explore, and then they could understand what different parts are, how they are working in storing the memory. So in this school, what we have seen, but in this presentation, which we will like to see what are the actual mysteries of memory and how it is really important for our understanding, and can we really understand. So we will see. Well, so why we said, though the hippocampus has been removed, but still, so he was having a certain type of memory, but not the other type of memory which he's supposed to have. So there was some, lack of understanding what is actually happening. That is what, so with fMRI and all, they could understand, okay, because of this is not localized. So because of one part, it is working, because of other part, it is not working, and so on. Well, in spite of this, still we need to understand much more. Is it only physical, or is it non-physical? So is it localized, or only localized in brain, or localized in different parts of the brain, and so on. So one such mystery is like memory and personality. How much time I have? So the 10, 10 months. Thank you. So whatever the case studies which we have done, they have forget something, they could store something, but in spite of this, are notwithstanding all these limitations, they all remember who they are. They are knowing that who am I. May not be remembering all the nitty-gritties of their life events, but they could understand that who am I, that consciousness they have. So that identity they know, that personality they remember. So how these persons could remember their own personality in spite of the loss of a specific part of a brain for each cases? Which part of the brain is responsible for the identification of the self? Okay, I don't remember certain thing, but still I remember who am I. So which part of the brain is saying that? Who is actually memorizing? This is not a particular part. And where is that information about the personality or the self is located? Where is that? We are talking only about the physical memory, right? Next one, you have emotions. We all have emotions. They were also having emotions. Well, living beings have different emotions like feeling happy or morose, or distressed or excited. So different ways which we can understand what other person's feeling by seeing those emotions. So how one can express these emotions? How we can express those things? Is there any relation between memory and relations? Is there any relation between the memory and relations? How we can express our emotions? Where from it is originating? Which is causing what memories? Which is causing what? Whether memories are causing emotions or emotions are causing memories, are making to have memories. So memories causing emotions are vice versa. This is the second one, just we would like to touch upon. So as we said, though we are not experts in this field, but when we come across this wonderful topic, which was proposed by this Bhaktivedanta Institute, this is really, intuitive, and then thought process, it will enhance your thought process. So we have touched upon few examples. We means me and Mr. Shravan. So selective memories. Happy birthday. Still I remember. During my childhood days, without telling my mother, I have invited my friends for birthday party. Birthday party also remember. So BTech day also remember. So PhD days remember. Still I remember my mother said, why you didn't tell me in advance? So those intricate events are also remembered. Well, and you have degree. Oh, exhilarated. So elated. Very happy to see having degree from Andhra University or Jadavpur University or IIT. Still I remember those events in my mind. And got a job or a promotion. We will never forget. Well, we remember only specific episodes of our events in our life very strongly. What are the possible deciding factors for this? Why only few? Why not others? Majorly, this is due to the episodes connected to emotions. Because I am connected to that emotion, I got a degree after 5 years of my struggle, after 4 years of my struggle, and so on, then it is connected to these emotions, so I remember that. That could be the one of the explanations. Okay, fine. We have emotions based on the memory, but we have good and bad memories. So we have good and bad memories. Yesterday, madam was telling that we have good memories and then bad memories. We need to do good things. We should not do bad things. Then we will have memories accordingly. Any event of good and bad memory in your mind? So you all have definitely memory. So any good or bad? Suppose you see this picture, a bus is going on, and generally the bus stops at a designated bus stop, right? Everybody knows, especially in cities. Now we can raise our hand and then the bus will stop. But otherwise, earlier they were so regimented that no, we will stop only at the bus stop. So an old man wants to get down from this bus, not at the designated location, but just in between the designated bus stops, he wanted to get on. But the bus driver, he was not yielding, but later he is convinced by seeing him. So he has stopped the bus, not at the designated bus stop, but in between. So the person, the old man, was very happy that he had to give up walking extra distance. So he was very happy. But at the same time, when the bus driver stopped the bus, another boy who was coming unnoticingly that the bus is going to be stopped, he has gone and hit. So this person was very happy. But on the other hand, this person got very much disturbed and he got hurt. And he is having good memory because this bus driver has helped me in stopping at this place which is not the designated one. But this boy, this bus driver is, he was scolding in his mind that how he can do that. Because of him, now my cycle got damaged and so on. So he got a bad memory. Subjective. Well, some person is seeing both from distant space, location. So he is seeing this person is getting down. He is seeing this person has hit the bus. So he is having good memories. He is having bad memories. But the person who is seeing the third person is having no such memories. It is connected to his emotions. It is connected to his emotions. But the third person is nowhere connected to his emotions. But he is seeing it as a neutral person. So we are only worrying about good and memory, right? Good and bad. How a good memory or bad memory gets categorized? For me, neither good nor bad, because I am the third person. For the first person, it is good, but for the second person, it is bad. So good, bad, neutral. Which one is deciding? What should be the good or bad or neutral memory? How it gets categorized? What are the deciding factors to decide which one is good, which one is bad, and which one is neutral? Because these memories are subjective. For me, it is neutral. For another person, it is bad. For other person, it is good. In our exploration of memory, is there any chance of understanding subjective memories objectively? So subjective means, okay, there are 60 students in my class. So I will teach everyone in the class. But what happens, there are few students who are very close because they are asking questions and all. So I may be more subjective in giving certain marks which are in my hand, which happens generally. So subjective. Objective means, no, if he has studied, he will get the marks. If he has not written these 5 steps, he will get 5 marks. If not, no. Subjective means, agar 3 steps bhi likha hai, usko marks, he will get the marks. So that is what you mean, subjective and objective, to understand. So understanding subjective memories objectively, and we really do that. Next, memory and experience. Input signals are fed to the brain, and then these signals are stored inside the brain. That is what generally understanding. Well, how the signals are being captured? Either through eye or the ear, iconic or echoic, sense memories. So then they are being captured by different parts of the brain. This is the back, and this is the sides. Then based on these multiple signals, unique experience is generated. What is that unique experience? Suppose you all are here, you are hearing, you are seeing. So you could simulate or you could emulate what is happening on here. So like you are watching a movie. What is that experience getting translated from your what is a visual perception to auditory perception? And then what is it creating a certain experience in your brain? What is that experience? How is it happening? It's a soft problem of consciousness, because we all are conscious beings. We understand. We don't talk anything about this table or this rack or this furniture, whether it is having seeing, memory, emotions, experience, nothing. We only be subject soft problem of consciousness. And so he's got scared by seeing the rat in one corner. May not be for everyone. Who is experiencing this? So that is going into the memory, brain, but who is experiencing this? Can this table experience this? No. Can the chair? Can the projector? No. So who is experiencing? This is what the hard problem of consciousness. So memory and experience are here interlinked. So based on the memories, you get experiences. Based on the experiences, you have certain good memories, bad memories, neutral memories.
So please.
So memory,
conclude in 5
experience, and
minutes.
then, yeah, I will wind up. It's done. So memory, experience, and then physicality. So the physicality is coming into this picture. So is emotional memory the experience? Emotional memory, which is stored, is it the experience? Are these experiences stored inside the brain or elsewhere? With all our endeavors, still we could not understand where our experience is stored in the brain. We know amygdala, hippocampus, and then what is a frontal precortical cortex, frontal cortex, so and so. But we don't know where the experience is stored inside the brain. So to have even better understanding, the man versus machine, the memory. So by the advancement of technology, we can store the information digitally also. Earlier it was not, at least 45 years back. During my childhood, nothing was there. We could use high capacity storage devices nowadays. So terabytes, terabytes. So when I was doing masters, there was only floppy disk. Many of you have seen floppy. Used to store only 256 KB of memory. Now, a person having an incident in his or her memory and the same memory in the computer are the same. So I'm seeing everyone in my memory. Now I take a snap. The memory is also having a memory stored in the digital form. Both the same. Both these things are same. This is what we had yesterday, day before yesterday, on the first day of the workshop. So I'm having in my memory, but the image is also there. That is stored in a certain device. Is there any difference between these two memory storages? So it is up to the audience to answer. A big question mark. So anyway, because these are going to be unraveled in the coming presentations by different speakers. So madam, just 2 more minutes, please. So memory and affections. The next one, as we know, mother loves, and then the child loves the mother or the father both. How this affection builds up? Is it because of continuous sensory inputs? The baby is touching the mother is touching the baby. Is it because of that or something else? Or if not, what factors that would decide this affection? If not the touching. So senses, the memory stored in your episodic memory or semantic memory. If it is not, what else? The past life memories, even much more intriguing, and then big question mark. People may not absorb, may not understand, may not realize. Instances of past life memory are heard now and often, and interestingly, many are verified. There are many studies which have been verified that this was the same person earlier in his past life. He could memorize certain events. If memory is physical, we have been keep on harping on this, memory is physical, then where is it is being stored once the person dies and takes the another form? Where is it stored? If it is physical. There might be some mechanism of memory storage beyond this physical plane. So where is that? Sorry. So memory and inspiration. So many instances where a person has never thought of any concept. I was doing something, some scientist was doing something, but he has never thought of, he has gone out. But one such example is Henry Pointer, when he was stepping onto the bus, some idea flashed in his mind, in his brain. And then he immediately came back and then wrote that. So it was in the previous one, he was never thinking about that, but it has come out of a sudden without any previous connected to any of the previous activities. So he's saying, what is the textual source from which this is happening? Who is inspiring? Another one is like this Carl Friedrich Gauss theorem. Finally, 2 days ago, I succeeded, not on account of my painful efforts, but by the grace of God. Like as a sudden flash of lighting, the riddle happened to be solved. He was thinking since long, but on that day it was suddenly idea occurred, flashed in his memory, and then he has solved that. I myself cannot say what was the conducting thread which connected what I previously knew and with what made my success possible. What is the connection? What is the thread, common thread which is connecting this both, the past and the present? Things to ponder upon. So just we will see. Memory and personality or identity are independent. What is the connection between memory and emotions? What are the factors that decide selective memories? Can we change our memories from bad to good? Because when we say it is physical, can we change? If so, what is that mechanism? Is really the brain part related to experience? Then who is actually experiencing? Is there any difference between the human memory and the machine memory? What is the relation between memory and affection? Where is memory located when person is rebirth? What are the factors influencing the inspiration? So look forward to try to get answers from the upcoming presentations. Thank you for your patience hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for this thought-invoking session. I'm sure the audience is buzzed with knowledge and is bubbling with more curiosity. So I request any questions from the audience.
First of all, I thank my partner, Mr. Shravan, for his wonderful support and help in making this presentation. He's here. Okay, thank you very much.
Any questions, audience? The mic be given to the lady, please. Yeah, the mic is being given. Please wait.
I will try my best. As I said, I'm new to this field, but few things touched upon that definitely we can
Hello.
understand. Hi, please.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. So my question was, you said about 30-second Clive disease. So why is it 30-second only? Is there any molecular relevance for that 30-second? Like,
So it was an experience. They experienced that this person could not store the information more than 30 seconds.
yeah, my question is that storing procedure lasts like involves some chemical reaction that lasts only
So,
for 30 seconds?
I'm not going into chemical reactions, but that could be one of the reasons. That could be one of the reasons.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Next question.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. I have a question that every memory means every long-term memory was once upon a time was a sensory memory. So sensory memory will get transformed into short-term and long.
Right. Yeah, certain sensory memories also get transformed into long-term memories if you do repeatedly the same thing.
So,
Okay.
Yes, sir. I have a question that the person who is the third person observer views the situation. He gets angry upon the boy for cycling uncarefully or the bus driver for not having any sense and stopping the bus suddenly and the old man for stop the bus for his own benefit. Then what type of the memory does this observer have now?
Third person. So he is having the same synaptic memory, episodic memory. That episode is there in his mind.
Means he will remember for his life this
He
situation.
can remember. He can remember. Look, it is subjective. So I have put a question there. So it is subjective. We can't say whether a person can even remember. So look, this classification has been made based on the earlier studies. Now this classification may change because everything is having limitations. The knowledge acquiring process is having limitations. So this method, the description is based on that. So I'm not saying that it is wrong, but I may say that it may be possible that that whole categorization might be changed in future based on the upcoming cases where the HM became a revolutionary in this neuropsychologist case. So then from then onwards, they say, no, it is not localized like that. So here in this case also it may change. The categorization may change.
Thank you, sir.
Next question.
Thank you, sir, for the lecture. But my question is that in the HM case, there was in the HM.
HM case,
in the HM case, there was loss of 3 years of retrograde memory also. 1950 to
1953.
He cannot recall. What's the mechanism behind that?
I don't know. They also could not understand that. They could not understand. How I can tell? I'm not rude, but there are certain reasons which are not known, which need to be explored. So what it throws light is that it is the memory is not localized. That much they could understand. So with different other 3 more cases, they could understand that okay, there may be fear, may not be fear, but there may be some certain emotions which are attached to this, connected to the memory. So it is evolving. This is how this scientific progress takes place. They don't have any answer for that.
Any other questions? Audience? Sir, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
That may not be question, but actually your presentation is at particular the case studies are eye opener for many of us, I hope. But even after knowing these case studies, the neuroscientist or the neurobiophysics, they are doing the experimentation based on some limited number of neurons and some particular neurons. Whatever I was getting from the last 2 days presentation, from the beginning onwards, I was seeing that even though we are telling that there are around 87 billion neurons inside our brain,
84
or 87, okay, whatever maybe. But our experimentation or the numerical simulations are what we are doing. Those are for a few number of neurons only, what I think, because the equations are very complicated. Whatever I was getting from this Mayank Mehta's presentation, that equation, that biophysical equation, that is very complex, and it is also for a few number of neurons.
Right.
On the other hand, we are telling that we have around 100 billion neurons. Okay, 84 or 87 or 100, whatever. That number is also, I do not know whether this is correct or not.
Yeah.
But then I think the observations or whatever they are actually the simulation results, those are also, I think, not very much correct, but to some extent may be correct. At the same time, but they are not looking into this case study, I think. But that what is that central part?
Hippocampus.
Hippocampus, because majority of the studies I have seen that they are doing research on this part. Neurons
only one part.
Only on that part. And also I was thinking yesterday that Professor Mahapatra was telling that if you do the meditation, at present for most of the people that up to maximum 10% of the neurons, they are active. And 90% are like gray matter or dark matter, whatever we call it. My meditation, actually, we can increase the active neurons, number of active neurons. But sometimes suppose a student is not good in certain subject. So by meditation, actually, can he be able to get good numbers or good result? So I was thinking that it may not be possible because it depends on so many factors, that what kind of neuron is responsible for what kind of activities.
So that subjective study was not done.
Yeah. So, but in general, it may be that a good knowledge he may get, which may help his to take decisions in lives, but may not be possible to get to score high numbers in this subject. But so many things are there, which I am also thinking that the mystery is the memory research is really a mystery. And okay, up to what extent we can unfold, that's a challenge for us.
Good question.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the comments.
Any more questions from the audience? The mic be given to sir, please.
Yes. Thank you, sir, for
Thank you, sir, for
enlightening us by a very wonderful lecture. I have certain doubt in your thesis. The first one, regarding who decides whether it's a bad memory or a good memory.
That is my question.
First doubt. Okay. Listen. Just I am narrating on Senate. The student who is behind the bus. Suppose student is going to school, but the student really does not want to attend school today, and he wants to play cricket with the third person.
Right.
And third person is looking at that student. If he does not attend school, then he will play cricket.
You didn't have met with the accident.
Listen, let me finish. Suppose this is the situation. Okay, if bus suddenly stops in uncertain place, it is not the bus stop, then students actually get good memory. It is good for us both we will play cricket. And I will explain to my parents that it was uncertain things took place, so that I could not attend class. And simultaneously, the third person becomes more happy because he is not attending school and creating a platform to play cricket. Now my question is, who decides bad memory and good memory?
So that is
This is the
what,
first question. Second question.
your question is over? Okay.
Another question. This is, can you explain now the first question? No, you can explain simultaneously. Can you go to the slide number, the limitations of knowledge? Yeah. There actually, it is a good idea, but there is a sentence when Biden was president, in his presidential address, he once said, 2011 is not 2021. This sentence has 25 interpretations. Okay? And these people who have interpreted 25 interpretation understanding, they are from different parts of country, different country. Chinese.
Slide number, you said?
Just limitation of knowledge.
No, slide number. Otherwise, we have to go back.
That I cannot remember.
Okay.
Just my simple question is that actually limitation is concerned with what? It's a context, or you are saying this is the absolute the process, cognitive process, limitation of a cognitive. What I understand from your lecture, you want to interpret that since you have a limited cognitive process, so that our knowledge processing is limited.
Yeah.
But I think the partially correct. In some contexts, actually it is correct, but in some other context, it's not so.
Yeah, it is subjective. We will discuss later.
Yeah. But what is the second? Who decides bad memory?
That is the question I put. That is the question. That is the question I put. And then if you attend all these remaining sessions, you would be able to get the, the deal, great deal.